they spoofed it again in Scary Movie. He was in the Scary Movie too.
No.
Is it really?
Yeah.
2 or as well?
As well. He was in one of them.
Also?
Maybe Scary Movie 3.
What are you looking at?
Look and make sure you're doing your fucking
Dude,
job.
don't worry about your camera shit and
Making sure you're doing your fucking job.
dude, it's done over here.
Oh, look at this shit.
It's good.
This is what happens.
This
Why
is
do you have
work.
to plug in so many iPhones? Why can't you just like have a laptop?
We were hoping you
plug it
would.
in?
We were hoping you would.
Not hoping.
Yeah.
I figured you're going to call something out on technology
Yeah.
that we could be doing better,
Yeah.
and I'm worried about what we're not doing.
Here, this is like
You didn't talk to Cory yet. See,
I know.
you're slipping.
because you're talking about movies. So look, we want this to be as close as possible to you.
You know,
There you go.
almost,
my
almost kissing
spit
it.
is going to get all over this thing.
That's fine.
We clean it
Yeah.
every day.
We
Oh.
clean it. We say we clean it so they
Oh,
feel
okay.
comfortable, but
yeah.
we don't.
No, you don't.
We
That's-
wipe-
and
we-
so now I'm just inhaling all this extra.
No,
people's
for
spit.
you, we cleaned it.
Oh.
But we didn't, but
You
we
know,
cleaned it for you.
You're playing mind games on me right now,
Yeah.
so I just don't understand
Yeah.
if I should believe you.
Mike's
It's
playing
better
mind
than
games.
just not believing. Now there's a hope
Yeah,
that maybe we cleaned it.
maybe.
What would you change right now if you could about this podcast?
She's like the host.
Yeah, the host, yeah. Or just position. Why do I got to sit in front of you?
Where would you sit?
Yeah, where would you sit?
What's an alternative?
Why can't I sit next to John? You sit over here.
That'd be weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We
You
got
just want to
this-
stir things
you got
up.
You got to be casual.
You just want to stir things
You're trying to
up.
make it too formal. He's got to be casual.
Well,
We're going to casualize it.
we have to trigger or let each other know when we got a question. That's why we do this.
We have knee stuff.
You can't make eye contact.
That'd be
Just be like-
weird. What if I did that? What if I was like,
Or no, you just do like this right here, and no one can see it.
Look at this. Nobody see this. Who has a question? Ask.
Yeah.
Ask.
I fall over.
Punch.
Oh, you just go.
Oh, that's good. That's good. The cameras are fucking off now.
okay,
So
yeah.
that's
Oh,
good.
he's so
Hey.
stressed about the
Good
camera.
Good job. Hey, that's rule number 2. Don't fucking touch the desk.
Whenever we're talking or the person's talking, Mike started. Well, before we even go into that deep, I guess Mike just started like tapping me out of nowhere before we even talked about doing it, and I was like,
this right
I was thinking to myself,
Who was that, huh?
I was thinking to myself, why the hell
What do you do?
he tapped me?
There's a lot of shit under here, and he's getting there quick.
He reached me with a sock.
Yeah, that one is
it's
sock.
like when your significant other wants you to shut up, and they just like kick you under the table.
Yeah. He's got that down.
He started doing it, and I was like, "What is he doing?"
Yeah.
And then I slowly picked up that he had a question. But now it's a thing. So tell him the knee tap secrets.
We tap. I tap his knee if I have a question, so he knows. He mainly steers the conversation, so I'm the one tapping. But it's gotten to the point where I ask so many questions, like he taps me.
Okay, so you're the questioner. But
I come in.
so John's like the MC, and you're just like,
Yeah, I ask the oddball questions.
Gotcha.
But then sometimes I'll hit it, and we didn't have a form of like I would not have anything anymore. So now I get my foot and I touch his foot with my foot, and sometimes his foot is up on the chair, and I'm like I'm trying to find where his foot is, and so now we have that method. One time I hit his knee and I blanked. And that knee is just holding a spot, and when they stop talking,
Yeah.
so I hit his knee, and like immediately they stop talking, and he goes like this.
It completely
'Cause
threw us off.
John doesn't play it off. He just he look. I mean, it's weird. I bet you the guests are like, how does he know he has a question? Because you're just arms crossed. He'll look over,
What do you got?
and then sometimes I don't know. I think it's happened twice, and I'm like. So I had a really good question about. Look over there.
Because I'm always thinking of the net. Like if we ask,
well, the biggest thing is not saying ums, ifs, buts, like flowing conversation.
yeah, that's what we're trying. We used to do like formal intros, like episode blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And now we're just trying to.
Sponsored by the Cash App.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, we want to be sponsored by the Cash
Yeah.
App.
Some Joe Rogan shit.
Gotta have the
Yeah.
cash app. And then another thing is if we have a more important question,
Yeah.
it's a double tap.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we get into a double
double
tap
tap.
war.
Ooh.
No, we haven't.
One time,
Okay.
maybe one time.
So he'll tap me, but if I have a better question, I think that's better. I'll double tap him.
You can't double tap enough.
What about the triple tap?
We haven't done
We
that.
haven't got there yet. We're talking about it.
Should we tell him about how we're thinking about doing to the room?
What about the ender?
What do you mean? Oh,
How we end.
oh my God. I forgot about that. So once we think there's nowhere else to take the
They're
conversation.
tapped out. Yeah.
Or we're like at time. Like we don't really want to go over an hour really, unless it's steamy.
Unless it's like, I don't know, Joe Biden on the podcast or something. But Mike will hold his knee against my knee. And then if
he pushes back,
if I push back,
if he ever so pushes back,
then we're acknowledging that. Okay, we're done asking questions.
Okay.
Let's wrap it up.
So y'all don't do this live?
No.
Why don't you do it live? Why don't you do a live one?
we thought about it. Our equipment's capable now. Like that Roadcaster can do it. Then there's a Anchor. Spotify has an app now that you can.
I think if you got a good guest who's going to make the conversation good, live is more natural. People aren't seeing like the editing and like the clips, and you're shifting the conversation from one scene to the next or whatever.
Yeah,
it feels more natural. I mean, I think Joe Rogan's are all live. No,
we don't edit them either. We just chop the beginning and end, so like the fat or whatever. But
yeah, we don't edit any content because we want it to be natural flowing. So we'll tell the guests though, like if there's something that they said that they want us to remove, then we'll remove the stuff.
Or if it's just horrible, like they don't like it, we don't have to do anything.
So in my case, I want you to remove the whole thing.
God,
we say that at the beginning, but we don't mean it. So this is gonna go viral.
It's a pain in the butt editing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize going into it.
There's a lot of tricks, and just you can go at it infinitely. Like you think you're done, and then you'll be like, well, what if I did this, or what if I changed that?
Yeah,
we did that in the beginning.
You can just go on forever.
We're like, let's put 100 pictures.
And your personality is like it's never good enough.
His went down. So mine's kind of always realistic. Like I don't want to do a lot because it's a podcast. Of course, we're doing a YouTube video, but it's mainly a podcast. Yeah. So, but him in the beginning, he was like getting website pictures of the guest and getting like certain images, and then he's
like a Lightroom and adjusting the colors.
Yeah, that's you know him, but
it's bare minimum now though. Like if nothing else. I mean, we don't really do much unless they mention something. You gotta have a good thumbnail.
Like you ever watch those like super viral like Mr. Beast YouTube? Yeah,
like, there's always like a
big reaction
face.
Like Mr. Beast drives this Hurricane Lamborghini.
You'll never guess what they said next.
Yeah. There's a thumbnail.
Yeah, exactly.
Outline their image, you know, like just make everything pop.
And so like it's clickbait, and then all of a sudden they're hooked and they watch the whole thing.
He does a good job with the thumbnails. Have you seen him?
Yeah,
he does a really good job.
Lying his ass off.
They're really. They look like sometimes I'll be at the house and we're watching cartoon videos or something on YouTube. And then one of the thumbnails will pop up. And I'm like, man, that looks like a legit, like someone spent a lot of time doing that thumbnail.
Yeah, someone did.
So do you approve his work, or you're just like, it's good?
Go. And so I'm glad you asked that. So in the very beginning, we were like, hey, what do you think about this? Or like for the teasers, like we had to start an Instagram and trying to grow it for the podcast. At first, we'd be like sending each other the teasers that we're going to show on Instagram. Now I don't. Now I'm like, look, you don't have to send me anything. I believe it's good, whatever. And I'm kind of the same way, but he's kind of like, approve this, or what do you think of this picture? I'm like, I saw you take the picture. I was there. I'm sitting right here. I don't need to approve the thumbnail.
So he's the woman in the relationship, and you're the man. Like, I don't give a hell.
In that aspect, but none others. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that he's going to do good work on the podcast and stuff. So I don't have to approve his stuff.
I think I sent it to you so you can have it, because when we post, you need the picture and you need the video. So we post what we edit, we post, because it's a pain in the ass to post. Yeah, it's just so tedious.
So hard. What were we using? iMovie? Yeah, we were using iMovie.
Oh, okay. It's like
is it iMovie?
Wait, that's like the iPhone app, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's an Apple product.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were doing it on the iMac
But like, so we take the audio from the Roadcaster and then we take the video and we would put it into iMovie, and then we'd had to sync all the clips. And I don't know I'm sure you've edited GoPro video. So if you edit long video, it's not just one clip.
Right.
There's tons of clips that come in.
Start and stop.
Right. No. I mean, like when you just
on size, it breaks it down into
individual
like 5
clips.
gigabyte clips, depending on like the SD card.
Gotcha.
So we'd have to like sync the clips with the audio clips, and it was just cumbersome, and then you're talking about dragging pictures in, and then it was a pain in the ass.
The big thing I noticed when you're editing different medias, like you're using a camera for the video or a GoPro for audio, or the difference in volume between the two media sources, you have to balance that because one will be really loud, and then the transition to the next clip from the different audio source, it'll be really quiet.
Well, so that's the good thing about. So we use the audio source from the Rodecaster, so that's what's good. So we use Final Cut now. Mm-hmm. So Final Cut, he purchased it first. I used the free version for a long time. But
did you buy is it a monthly subscription?
No, it's still a buyout, right? And you still get all the updates.
Okay.
But we switched because iMovie was freaking out one day, and we really wanted the auto sync because you can just auto sync.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the audio and the video. You just do an auto sync and it automatically matches the waves.
That's cool.
So it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. Yeah. You have to do some slight adjustments sometimes.
It saves a lot of time though. Yeah. Like in iMovie, that's what we were spending the most amount of time on, was syncing the audio with the video.
It was still powerful enough that y'all could do that in iMovie?
Oh yeah. I don't think we would have switched if it had the auto sync.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like color grading and stuff you can do. I actually feel limited now in Final Cut. Like I feel like I need more.
Premiere Pro.
I know. I don't want to do it though.
That's the Adobe though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so
it's
such a learning curve.
The crappy part about Adobe is that it's a monthly subscription, so you can't just buy it outright. So it's good if you're like whenever I built the Alaska video, I bought it for a month and I was like, I'm gonna get this edited in a month. I'm not paying for 2 months of this thing. And so I edited it in a month and I just canceled the subscription. But that would be a downside, I think. I think if you're like a big corporation, you could probably buy licenses for it. But yeah, that would suck. Because how much did you pay for Final Cut? $300. So then it's like $30 a month. So you'd have 10 months and then you're paying more for Premiere Pro than you are Final Cut.
It seems like all the big YouTubers, that's what they're using is Premiere.
Have y'all watched any videos of like actual like professional editors do their job?
Mike does.
Dude, they got some crazy setups. Like I've seen this guy for Linus Tech Tips and he's got 5 keyboards and they're all set up for macros. And so like he builds macros in Premiere Pro for like this button is clip, this button is this button is that. Yeah. And it's crazy. It's crazy to think about doing that professionally, editing videos all day long.
They have a bunch of programmable boards that specialize in Final Cut Pro or Adobe that have knobs and things like that. So when you color grade, you're not like moving like a bar. You're like actually moving a dial.
I'm sure it helps.
More tactile. I think so. Yeah. But this equipment's so expensive too. We're looking at getting like better camera, to get like a mirrorless camera. It's like
thousands of dollars.
Yeah, probably $3,000, maybe even more depending on the lens you get. But to have 2 of those and
especially audio video equipment, there's like the entry level, and then anytime there's no middle ground. Every time you branch to like entry level to professional, the jump is like 10 to 12x.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people are just like, you're spending that much money on a TV or you're spending that much money on a camera.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's insane. Or you think about like movie productions and they're spending like $300,000 or $1 million on
just equipment,
a camera.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's insane.
We're almost to the point where we need new computers for the editing because we got Final Cut on the external hard drives now because our computers can't manage all the damn data.
Yeah. There's a bunch of good videos of like, and I was going to show y'all this of like I don't know. I watched a lot of Linus Tech Tips, but they have a week in the life of this production company they put out 7 videos a week. And it talks about how they strategize from day one of we're going to do this video on this day. And they have like all the tools that schedule everything. And then how they edit it. And they have like 6 or 7 editors and how they ingest video into servers. And then they have editing live from servers and how they maintain that. And then how they publish the videos. And it's very interesting.
It'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Very intricate.
You always have a bottleneck, man.
The editing to me it's a pain in the butt because we're balancing school and work and all that. But to me, the most, I guess the biggest opportunity for a streamline is posting to the social networks.
Yeah.
To me, that's the pain in the butt. And I was talking to somebody who there's a website that we can.
I was wondering.
There's a website that we can go to and we can do it before, and then we can write all of our crap and then I guess post the our websites or our social media links where we want it to, and then we can schedule it just like we do it in YouTube or Anchor. So that'll make our lives, because the day of posting
upload it to one site, and then the site
it distributes
pushes it to everything.
Right? But then you have that problem with Instagram not doing links and Facebook doing links.
Well, I think this one is like is integrated to where you can like this section's for Instagram, this section's for YouTube.
Should have looked that up a long time ago, John.
I know. That's but the morning of
John.
I know.
Yeah. John was. We were like, we have time, right? But we're like, we don't have time to look up how you can. You do swipe up on the stories and it'll take you to a website.
Yeah.
John for the longest time thought it was official people can only do it, like with the official thing, and we're like, okay, I guess we can't do it. Then we saw the other day someone did it, and they weren't official, and I was like,
my mind exploded.
John, I thought we looked this up, and he goes, we did, and I was like, okay. So then he looked it up for a little bit the other day, and he goes, yeah, I looked it up, but I haven't really looked at it hard. But it's like, what does it take though? Like a quick search and see yes or no. Yeah.
We were talking about like, that's the conversation at work. Like, I bit off a little bit. I chewed it a little bit.
Yeah.
I haven't digested it enough.
I taste it.
Yeah. I'm going to dive back into it a little bit later.
Well, it's like when you are working and you instantly tell someone, oh yeah, that's the way you do it. And then they come back and question you one time and you're like, wait,
yeah,
did I look it up? I'll be right back.
Gotta go.
Yeah. Dude, and then funny. You find out, oh, all right, I guess, don't believe anything you say, huh?
That's funny.
Yeah. We need to look it up more. There's too much stuff to know.
I know.
No, but it is
fast evolving.
So I did spend a little time chewing it up. A little bit. I need to go back and look, but
so you can do it then.
Right now on our account,
no, you don't.
No, hold on, no, for real. Right now on our account, we can do swipe ups on our IGTV post.
Okay,
but we can't do swipe ups to external post. Until we reach a certain amount of followers.
And external posts being other posts or websites,
like YouTube or like do a swipe up from Instagram to YouTube.
Okay,
so.
Interesting.
Allegedly.
We'll edit this part if it's not right.
Yeah. Nope.
So, what do y'all do with regards to like all of your data after you're done with it? Do you just store it on? Do you just store it like you have a whole bookcase of?
What's data?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We transfer. So we used to transfer all the clips, the final product, thumbnails, all to a hard drive and keep it in folders. But now we discussed it. If we ever want to pull clips, we can just take it from the final, because it's all edited. We can just take it from the final thing. And that's normally like, I think it's like 20 something gigabytes. So these things are big. These are massive. So like, I mean, that's not massive, but it gets to be when you collect it. So now we erase all the individual clips after it's made, and we just keep it in a folder in the hard drive, and we have every episode. So, that thing is we have the opposite. So we edit every other one. So he has half of them and I have half of them.
Yeah.
But we'll probably put them together eventually.
No, we won't.
But we have like a 5 terabyte thing. So
if y'all do this for long enough, y'all are going to have just like a whole room full of just
servers,
drives just sitting there.
In the very beginning, we would both save the episode. So like if
redundancy,
we'd have redundancy on redundancy,
and on the SD, we don't erase it until it's edited. Yeah. So we have a lot of SD cards,
but
more than we need.
I finally convinced him. I was like, "Why? If you're editing it, if you're going to edit an episode, why do I need the clips?
Yeah.
I don't need them. I don't care. I'm not going to use them ever.
Yeah.
If I want the video, I'll get it off YouTube.
Yeah,
that's another thing. I think you lose quality though.
And just the amount of money you have to spend to buy SD cards, buy hard drives, it's not cheap.
No,
this is investment. This whole setup is just expensive. An investment. And then what happens if 5 years later you're like, I don't want to do this anymore? And then what do you do?
I told Mike before he came here, I was like, hey, I'm going to have to start working on Fridays all day. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to do this anymore.
It's the same thing, huh?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that even if the secondhand market for a lot of this stuff is up and down. So even if you got rid of it, you could probably return a lot of what you put into it. But then again, like GoPros, there's new ones coming out every year. So it's like,
well, so these are I take these on vacation and use them or whatever. But some of the stuff is entry level. Like, like you were saying, it ends here for the beginner, but then it gets crazy. So all people start here. Yeah. And I have a lot of people that message me about wanting to start a podcast, and in my opinion, this is how you do it. Yeah. Unless you want to do just audio, then you could do a lot less. Like, you don't need that mixer. They have a little recorder that you can record 2 people off of.
Yeah, I mean, that's
from Rode, I think.
Yeah, you can definitely. There's a barrier to entry, and then you start getting more and more famous. It's like you think about these famous YouTube people. I think about that sometimes because, like, imagine you start out, like, how many subscribers do you have right now?
130.
2. Yeah. 130. So
you and us.
Make sure if you're watching this to like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel.
There you go. Here's a message from Cory.
But anyway, so you imagine these guys and they start growing, right? To 100 and they go to 1,000 and they're freaking out because they're at 1,000 subscribers. And then all of a sudden the next week they're at 10,000. All of a sudden you have this famous person that post on Twitter, and then they jump to 100,000. And at some point you start getting revenue, right? And it's an amount of revenue. So say like a YouTuber with 1 million subscribers, I have no idea. Maybe they make $10,000 a month, but to buy the camera they want, it's $50,000. Yeah. So then they're like, well, do I buy this? And a lot of these YouTubers, and maybe they make their money off of, like, I watch a YouTube guy. His hook is that he's the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube. So what he does is he buys these beater cars and he loses money on them. That's his hook. And so, like, he'll buy like these Ferraris for $3,000 that are worth $30,000 and have to put $30,000 to get them fixed. And so his hook is that he loses money on everyone, but yet he's making money off the YouTube videos. But if he doesn't keep buying these beater cars and losing money, he doesn't make new videos.
Right.
So how much debt and, like, how much of a business model is built around, going into debt just to make more money? And then you get into this vicious cycle, and then maybe it just works out. But it's crazy to think about, like, your hook is this, but your hook can get more and more expensive because, like, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it's not exciting anymore. It's like you watch, Fear Factor, and it's cool, but unless they up the danger of the stunts, and you're watching the same thing every single week, you're like, this isn't cool anymore. But if someone all of a sudden decides they're going to jump into shark infested water, you're like, I have to watch this. Like, what's going on?
Right.
Yeah. And I could see that you can go off the deep end really fast with some of these
the YouTube channels,
like the podcasts and YouTube channels. You can really, like, you can grow your channel a lot, but it doesn't seem like it's like an investment that, like, is without risk.
Right.
Like, people talk about these famous YouTubers and how they make so much money, but I think about when I watch the videos, I'm just like, he just bought like a $2 million facility and he only has 300,000 subscribers. Like, that's a lot of investment just to say that I'm going to continue making YouTube videos. Or, like, when they decide I'm a full-time YouTuber, like, what goes through their mind?
Money.
Like, what happens if y'all but you're not making enough yet. Like, you're at this threshold where if you commit more time to it, there's a very good chance that you make a lot of money.
I think people do it because it's genuinely what they want to do. Sure. Like, if something happened to where we could both quit our jobs and do podcasts, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
This is fun. It's fun talking to different people, learning about their jobs. And I think that's the difference. Like, having a YouTube channel, you almost have to go and get better. Yeah, do shot every time. It's got to be better, or you're gonna lose a subscriber.
Yeah.
With podcasts, I think it's a little different. I don't know. Like, I don't like to watch podcasts unless they're showing something on the screen. Like, if I'm listening to Rogan or Nick Bear or something, then if he says, "Oh, look at this," and then I'll look at it. I think that's what's different with podcasts. What drives people to podcasts is having an interesting person on and listen to that person talk.
Sure.
Someone that maybe is a famous TikToker or something, but they're only talking 15-second clips. They're not really getting the backstory. That's where you can get it on the podcast.
All right, so let's roll with that. So how do y'all decide who you're going to bring on and why, and what kind of audience are you appealing to, and how you're trying to grow your channel?
Did you see the tap?
Yeah. It makes it too obvious. Yeah. You should just not do that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just stare at you. Just zone in.
So that's a good question. It's It's hard, but anyone who says yes.
Yeah.
We beg them.
No, we do some fishing. So, I mean, we have interest, which is athletics. So we like running and all that, but we also like other topics. So we fish around a lot. He does a lot of external and I do internal. So like people around town, I do more of, and he does some too, but he reaches out via email of like, what kind of people? Like musicians. Yeah. He likes a lot of political stuff. So we're trying to get some political figures on.
Not bad, huh?
Trying to grow something, huh?
Yeah.
Well, then all the episodes are a little different too, right? I mean, we're going to talk to you a little more loosely than we would.
Well, sure.
The governor.
Yeah. I mean, preparation wise, like how much you prepare for me versus how much you're going to prepare for if you have a mayor on.
But nothing. Yeah. We try to keep it that way.
Okay.
We used to write little like bullet points,
little notes,
but it ends up getting in the way because they may be on a really good rant, and then I'm looking at this bullet point like I got to get this out, and then we have 20 minutes left. Yeah. And I used to stop that rant that was valuable, and I saw that there was no value in that, and that I just like the open forum.
All right, so let me ask a question about that. What have you learned so far?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
About what? People or the podcast?
No, just the podcast, people, all the above.
I like how Cory's interviewing us.
I know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because whenever you start something new, there's always a huge learning curve, right? Like no one who jumps into something is instantly like, oh, I'm just the best at this.
Oh, yeah, no.
You know?
Go ahead.
You see how he almost breaks his neck?
Your response should have been, but we are.
We do that even after the podcast when we talk to the people and the mics are off, the camera's off, we'll still do the knee. If we're close enough in a regular conversation, we do the knees.
At work, outside of the podcast.
Yeah. Oh. You're sitting in a conference call and you're just
doing that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that we're two hosts because we're always locked and loaded. Like he has something he's saying, and while they're talking, I listen, of course, but I'm also like loading up on the next question. Yeah. So we don't have a lot of dull moments, knock on wood, I guess. Or we embrace the dull moments too. Before, we just thought it had to be so perfect that it got kind of stressful, and we're just trying to stay on topic and make sure it's just all just cutting edge stuff. But like, I like the open form, like we were talking about the formal intros, that it just, people would get a little tense for the first 10 minutes. We had to work them out of that because it was like, hello, so-and-so, welcome to the podcast. We used to have intro music, intro music that we could actually hear.
No, that would make someone tense, I think.
Yeah, because then it's like, oh, the lights are on and we're ready.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah.
But if you notice, we started, you never even knew we started.
No. That's the way it should be. It should feel natural, especially unless you're doing something professional. Like imagine if you had like a senator or something like that on, they're going to be more attuned to like intro music and stuff like that. But someone off the street who's never done something like this before, that's going to throw them off because then they're going to start thinking, oh, is this like CBS News or Fox News? And all of a sudden, like, we're live at NBC. Yeah. It's like,
well, I think it's I think the podcasts are interesting because or what I've learned too is that every person says something. Every person that we've talked to, someone who you wouldn't think would be interesting or interested in that conversation, took something away. Like, like we get messages on Instagram or Facebook, like, hey, I listened to this person, the runner, or I listened to the author that we had on, and they're like, that was a very interesting topic. A buddy of mine wrote me on Instagram, and he's I think he's in the keto lifestyle, or he's getting interested, and he even got the barefoot. He's listening to me and Mike talk about barefoot shoes, so he got the barefoot stuff, and then we had the author on who talks about her book is about her and her husband swinging, right? Yeah. So he messaged me yesterday, and he was like, "Man, y'all talk about running and sex." I was like, "What the hell are you going to talk about next?" Like, so it's interesting learning
politics.
Yeah.
Hard politics.
Yeah, just straight politics and live. Yeah. So that we don't want to like hinder ourselves and only talk about one topic, because we don't just talk about one topic in general. Like, of course, like Mike was saying, running interests us, working out, health, but we don't just talk about that in our everyday lives. So I don't think there's people that want to just only hear that stuff.
Well, sure. No, I mean, especially on like Joe Rogan, he's definitely got an audience, right? Like, so he's got a certain class of people he's trying to appeal to, but he has different, it's what he's interested in, but it's never like the same thing. One day he has a runner on, the next day he has like a zoologist or something completely different.
Neuroscientist or something.
Yeah, and it's just talking about stuff. But what about like a growth plan? Like, are y'all talking about, well, eventually we want to do this or eventually we want to do that? Like, how's that coming along?
It depends on how you mean growth. From what standpoint?
Well, I mean, do you want to have 300 subscribers for the rest?
Oh, yeah. So, wish we had that.
No, we want to have 100.
We're in this weird thing. It's turned into a game almost because we just want to do the podcast, and it's nice to get subscribers and things like that. And then there's definitely a goal on YouTube, like where you have to hit 4,000 viewing hours and then 1,000 subscribers. Yeah. So that's in the back
to get monetized, right?
To monetize.
Yeah.
But that's not only monetization; it's also like being able to use affiliate links and things like that. It's just more that you can do once you have that.
Keep growing, right?
Yeah, to keep growing. So we like that. But it's a game, though, because we're learning algorithm stuff now that we never care about with Instagram and Facebook and
posting at certain times.
Posting certain
certain GIFs on Instagram that are trending. Like that's like we were talking about it on Monday or Wednesday, like what time we should post. And Michael's like, "What are we talking about? We're gonna kill ourselves.
Yeah.
We're killing our brain cells right now having this conversation."
Yeah, I know.
It hurts.
I know, like. That's the crazy thing is that, we have all these jobs that aren't in the technology sector. So like podcast, now you're interfacing with technology. And so it empowers you to know and it enables you to grow the more you know about technology. So like if y'all are doing podcast, y'all got to know about those algorithms. You got to know how is YouTube going to perceive this video. Yeah. Like I can't tell you how many videos I've watched where it was this crude, horrible person, and they have like 300,000 subscribers, but they're cussing every other video, and they're not getting monetized. Like they're getting demonetized off.
Oh yeah.
It's like
talking about Dylan
or just whoever, right? It's like now you're playing their game, and now you got to know what the rules are and how you can bend those rules in your favor. Because if you don't do that, then you're not going to win, and that's kind of dystopian to think about, right? Like Google is now ruling, or Facebook is now deciding how you have to.
What's truth or what can be talked about and what can't be talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's on that topic. That's what interests me. I want to have and I talked about this in our last episode, but I want to have like someone from the Black Lives Matters group, and then someone who's like a hardcore Republican on, and like just have an open forum conversation.
That's hard.
It would be. I was thinking about it. Like, God, how would that go? Like, it'd be tough, But having I want to get to the point of like we can all realize that we're like in the middle. We're all in the freaking middle. We're not like one side. Like to think about like the Republican Party being so right, or the Democrat Party being so right. To me, that baffles me. And I think it's a good point because I lean more conservative.
Yeah.
I think Mike probably leans more left. So that's another good thing. And Mike's vegan.
Yeah.
And I eat meat. So having those conversations with other people,
I think that's helpful for them to be open because we're kind of different.
Sure.
So we're not, kind of one-sided up here.
The craziest thing, and whenever I first met Mike, like he's so radically different.
I hate him.
I know, like he's so radically different than anyone I've ever met.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people would look at your lifestyle and be like, "What the hell is he doing?" Like you fasted for 12
days.
12?
12 days, yeah.
12 days, yeah. And people would look at that and be like, he's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Like, don't get near him. Don't talk to him. But he's the nicest guy you ever meet.
I know.
And he's loving and caring. And you get your eyes open to new lifestyles, and that's how you grow.
Yeah.
Like
that's a good point. So to Mike real quick. When I first
Keep it going, guys.
Yeah. When I first met Mike, I was like, why does this dude ask so many damn questions?
Yeah.
He's like,
I know.
He asked.
It can step out.
It can turn people off. That really can.
But he's not.
Yeah.
But he's not trying to.
Yeah.
He's not trying. He's just trying to understand. Like get to the core.
I know.
Like what's the issue?
But people don't like getting questions.
No.
They want to just like, you have to believe me.
We've had this conversation.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, I know.
Me and you.
Yeah.
But to your point about learning, like when I learned about Mike.
Yeah.
And I learned that he was a good guy, and like I learned that we have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
So having people on, we talked to what's the lady's name who owns the the vegan Lisa Piper. She owns like a vegan place, and
is that
he's natural living.
Yeah, natural living. Yeah,
I would never have been to Natural Living.
Yeah,
and then
me neither. Honestly, me neither.
And after we had her on the podcast, we all went to Natural Living and we all ate, and my family didn't like it, and
we're not going back, but it was a good.
But we never would have done that.
Yeah,
that's the cool thing is like bringing people on who we don't know. And then learning about that lifestyle, learning about what works for them.
True.
And then maybe we can incorporate some of that stuff in our life.
That's the biggest thing that I've grown since I graduated and started working was realizing that everyone has like they're set in their ways. Like you think about people who just grew up in rural America and they know what they know. Like they're meat and potatoes. Like you throw a vegan item at them, they're like, get that away from me. That's like the devil. But you try something new and you're like, wow, that was still nasty, but I'm glad I tried that.
Yeah.
Like, or you start running and you're just like, wow, this sucks, but I'm glad I did it. I feel better because I did that. Everything you do in life is about growing and learning something new. If you're not growing and learning, you're just stagnating. And some people are fine with that and there's nothing wrong. But I can tell you every person who's grown and done something different always looks back and said, I can't believe I was like that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
Like, when did you start wanting to be vegan?
Like 25.
25? Why'd you want to do that?
Documentary.
Documentary.
Yeah. And like then, when they first started coming out.
Yeah.
Fork
on
for
Netflix.
Knives.
Yeah.
Fork for Knives came out. I think my dad was reading the book when we were in Colorado. Yeah. And like the next day, I started being vegan and I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I ate a plain iceberg salad with tomatoes and I just ate it and I was miserable.
Yeah.
And I started just Googling a bunch of stuff. But from that day, I went a full year.
Yeah.
Cold turkey and strict.
No cold turkey though.
Yeah. Vegan turkey.
And I mean, we all change over time, but like, how have you grown from that experience? Like, how do you see yourself as a different person than you were back then?
It's definitely socially.
Yeah.
You deal with a lot of stuff socially.
Yeah.
It's like you have to kind of go in defense mode. And in the beginning, I'd get real defensive and like, why do you do this? Why do you do that? But now I just be quiet about it a little bit. But also health-wise, just feeling better.
Yeah.
Because I was just eating anything. I'm not saying vegan's healthier. It's just I was eating everything and didn't know a difference. I thought food was food. So
yeah. I mean, John, what about like your experience with food? Like how have you pivoted over the past 5 years?
Meeting, working where we worked and working with all y'all, that has changed my life because I was the most American food person consumer that you could possibly think of.
Right, like meat, potatoes,
Whataburger. But I was working out, so I thought I was in shape, you know? Like I was, I'll drink a Diet Coke.
Yeah, I'm
Monster.
lifting heavy.
Yeah. I'm in shape. I'm good. This belly, that's whatever. Yeah. But meeting, Mike, talking to James, us running, like I feel myself definitely have changed over the course of the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. And isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane because when someone else I get excited when someone starts talking about, hey, I'm going keto, or hey, I'm cutting out sugar, or I cut out bread or something. I get excited because I was right there with you. Like, don't you feel better? And then they start saying how much energy they have. Or my buddy Ryan, he just got on keto. I think he's been on about a month or so, and he was just at my house over the weekend. And he said something that was really profound. He said the next day that I went a full day of keto. The very next day when I got up, my body didn't hurt. Like I felt good, and I was like, God, that's so legit. I know it. You don't. It's stupid. You don't know what you don't know. Yeah.
Right. Like you're in this lifestyle of eating McDonald's every day, or Wednesday's Whataburger day, or whatever it is, and you get gratitude and you feel good when you eat it, but then like you just feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like you just want to lay down and sleep. Like you eat Sonic and then in the afternoon you have to take a nap because you're just so tired.
Do you remember, or I know you remember, but when we used to go get lunch and then we ended lunch with fraps?
Yeah.
And then, we drink the fraps and we were on a high, boy.
For 1 second.
And then 3:00 that afternoon, we'd all be dead.
Yes.
We just thought that's how we were supposed to feel. At least I did. I was like, this is normal. Like I'm I'm supposed to be tired right now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was just a sugar crash.
That's just one aspect, though. Like, food is a big thing in our lives because that's what you think about. What we bond over as humans. Food is like the biggest thing we bond over. You know, I remember like me and Mike would go to the Renaissance Festival when our thing was we would always go get a big greasy vegan breakfast when we got and like that was fun. I mean, and I tried to bring my parents to that, and they were just like, nope. They were like, this is not good at all.
Dude, everybody I bring there, it's not good.
Yeah,
Cory's very open-minded to a lot of things. So John forgot the reason why we run is really stems from you.
Yeah.
Because one day you asked me to do a half marathon and I never ran. And I didn't want to. I think you asked me a bunch of times.
Probably.
And so I did it with you and I realized it was kind of cool. And I didn't train for that one or the next one.
Yeah.
And then finally you were like, I want to do a full. And that's when we got John and Carlo and James on board to run. They ran you ran full, and I think the other two ran halves. Yeah. But it all stemmed from you, and I had to learn. You know, I wanted to just thought I was athletic enough to run, and for the first two, and died, and was fasting on the second one and died.
That was an interesting experience.
But it brings you together, and then you started eating a little vegan, and then you would go eat whatever I would eat. Yeah. So we'd go out and eat, and he would go to raw places when I was raw, or vegan places when I wasn't.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And then, we all, like, what is it? Iron sharpens iron. Yeah. Like, all of us are so different. We influence each other. Like, I don't want to go to school, but this fucker over here keeps talking about him signing up for new classes and getting closer to finishing.
Now I want to drop out.
Yeah, exactly. But he may not know, but I went back to school because he's around me doing school, and I feel like a little shit not going
I know.
when he's going. So
I know. It's absolutely the craziest thing how just one person makes a decision and then the other people start making their own decisions, and then it's like this devolving circle of empowerment, and you want to do something different. And 5 years ago, I never would have eaten vegan.
Yeah,
never.
Speaking of vegan, have you been to Corny Vibes?
No. Where's that at?
I don't know. Where is that? Westheimer?
No, Montrose.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We I think I found them on Instagram. I think I found them, right? Yeah, which is funny. I'm not even vegan, but their food looked legit. So now, like, I've been there twice now. It's just vegan food, but it's really good vegan food.
Yeah,
like country style stuff.
Yeah, most people like they don't understand the benefits of what you can get out of that. Even if the food tastes like shit, you're gonna feel better because you're not eating super greasy. You're not eating, and don't get me wrong, I'll eat a steak tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's in front of them.
Yes. sometimes having just a fuckload of vegetables.
Yeah.
That sounds so good.
Yep.
You know, I tell Shannon that sometimes. I'm just like, I just want vegetables for dinner. Like, and I never would have said that 5 years ago. I would always had to have a meat, a starch, and a vegetable.
Yeah.
Every meal. It had to be that.
We always talked about once we ate the vegan food, we're like, this is not the best thing to eat, but it's better. And remember we used to go to Nobi and we'd eat and we'd be like, and I said, how do you feel? And you go, pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, but then when we were doing raw for a little while, we'd eat those raw cheesecakes. Remember that?
Yeah.
But even that, it was like, it's really good, but then you didn't feel like crap. It was like, what was it? Dates and nuts, basically. So it was like a cheat, but not a cheat.
Yeah.
Dates, man. You turned me on to dates. I didn't even know what a date was.
Me neither.
Now I'm buying dates at the store and feeding them to my kids.
Sweet. They're good.
Yeah. It's like eating candy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I like dates.
It is crazy. And I mean, you just rotate a little bit. If you think about, you know, where we are as humans and we're working until we're not working, right? Like, it's crazy to think how much work influences what we do day to day. Like, college is one thing or high school is one thing. Like, you have your friends, but you're still influenced by your parents. You know, you still, when you have to make your own decision, and in work, whenever you defined yourself and this is who I am as a person, you don't realize how much the people around you at work influence you. Yeah. You don't realize how much your work group impacts your performance and your mood and your thoughts.
Yeah.
And you have your family at home, But you still think you spend more time with your work associates than you do with your family most of the time.
Much of the time, yeah.
And that's crazy. Like, you know, I love my fiance to death, but we don't spend as much time together than I did with y'all when we worked together. And that's like mind blowing to me sometimes.
Yeah.
Do y'all think about that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because it could be, if you're working with a bad group of people, you take that shit home, and then you're shitty to your wife, or you're shitty to your fiance, or you're shitty to your kids.
Yeah.
So that plays a big part of it.
Yeah.
You know, your surroundings, and it's tough.
You
it's
know,
tough not to bring that stuff home, you know?
Well, that and the PC too, the political correctness, like you really get that hammered in you at work, and like without even knowing, I've changed, you know?
Yeah, I know.
It's just you wake up and you're saying things a little different. So
I mean, we talk about this offline here about, you know, things going on in work and how we're pivoting, but I find myself when I'm out socially with my coworkers, I can't think of anything to talk about other than work. Like that's the craziest thing.
That's true.
Like these people, I spend more time than anyone else with, but I have to talk about work.
Yeah.
Like we have this big project coming up, or like if I don't get this done, it's just not going to go good. But
that's crazy, isn't it? I'm at this point where I'm telling Mike, I'm like, I don't want to finish my degree. I want to get it. If I had a choice, I would have done political science.
Yeah.
Like thinking about, or psychology, because that's kind of where I think my strong suit is. That's what I want to do. That's what really interests me.
Yeah.
I don't care about numbers. I don't care about motion time study.
Well, you know, that might be partially my fault. I think I tried to tell you to get an engineering degree.
What do we got going on?
All right, sticky business.
But you know, work influences that. You know, we're going to school to work. To work.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why I like doing this podcast, because it's kind of a break from that.
Sure.
It's kind of it closes that door a little bit.
That's like the big thing we talk about now is side hustles. You know, like what's your side hustle? What are you doing? You know, and some people are like, well, I trade stocks, but this is a cool little side hustle, and it's not quite a side hustle.
Not really.
Yeah, not really.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby, but it could turn into a side hustle, and that's cool. I mean, you got to have something that keeps you entertained outside of work.
Definitely that.
Yeah, and like we were talking about already, just like learning different cultures, even if they're just small subcultures. Sure. It brings you outside of work and lets you know, you get a pulse of what society is outside of a corporation. I think it's interesting.
And then surrounding yourself with like-minded people, like you were just saying, like we all have impacted. And like talking to Del Frankham, who owns a gym in West Columbia, or you know, anyone else that we've talked to, Chris Roglowski or Lauren, these are all like awesome, powerful people.
Yeah.
And that's who I want to that's who I want to be around with. Yeah. That way I can kind of bleed that on to my family.
Sure.
You know, because some people that we work with may not be the best people that we need to be hanging out with.
No, that's true.
So hanging out with these folks, you know, every week, bleeding that on to me, maybe I can bleed that on to my family.
That's true. But you know, I thought an interesting question. If you could be Lauren Stroud right now, would you be Lauren Stroud?
No.
No. Would you be Del Frankham if you could right now?
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's funny.
You think a lot of these people you look up to or you get inspiration from, like David Goggins and stuff like that? Like,
where'd you get that question?
I just thought of it, bud.
Pretty good question.
Just gotta roll on. But like,
keep up with the pace.
Fall behind.
But like you think about all these people who inspire you. Do you want to be Joe Rogan? Like tomorrow, if you were Joe Rogan, would you like that life? You know, like you draw pieces of what you want.
Yeah.
But a lot of these people, you don't want to be them.
You know what makes me think of like your question is like, it's almost relatable to people posting pictures on social media, because you know, do I want to be Joe Rogan? Well, hell yeah, that must be nice. But he has his shit. You know, he has his shit he has to deal with. We all have. You know, Lauren is dealing with her shit. Yeah. Del Frankham's dealing with. We all have this shit that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So we're only seeing some of the good stuff.
Yeah, the good start. The highlights.
You know what I mean? Yeah, the highlight reel on Instagram, the highlight reel on Facebook. So I think we're good where we're
at. Life gets more complicated, and nothing is as easy as it appears to be. You know, like my grandparents, when they used to have that winery, everyone would come up and be like, oh, it must be so cool. It must be so cool that your grandparents have a winery. That just sounds the greatest thing. I remember when I was 15 years old and I'm out weed eating ditches or out in the sun putting nets over grapes or stomping grapes. It's like, no, this is horrible.
Yeah.
This is the worst thing ever. And I always try to think about that when I'm watching or looking at an influencer or whatever. Like, yeah, that's cool, but God, I don't want to be that person sometimes,
That person's staying up late.
Yeah.
They don't have a weekend because they're working all the time.
Yeah. Like you think about these famous YouTubers, this guy who does car repairs. His life is car repairs. Like, yeah, it's cool. I want to learn how to repair my car, but do I want to create YouTube videos about repairing cars
and live that way?
No.
It becomes work too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's fun. But then when you have to, like, you're like, I have to put out 1 or 2 videos a week. And it's like, oh no, like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
If I want to keep it going.
It's true. Or even at work, like you think about where you are now and where you want to go. At some point you make a decision of I'm happy where I'm at or I'm not happy. And if I'm not happy, where am I going? And that's tough. Like it's so easy to get comfortable in a place. But whenever you realize you're uncomfortable, making the change is difficult. You don't know what you want to do. Some people are blessed and they know like, oh, I want to be a vet. Like that's it. I just want to do that for the rest of my life. Most people aren't like that. And so how do you make those decisions? How do you process what you should do next or what you shouldn't do? What's the right decision? What's the wrong decision?
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. Those people that know real early on that I want to be a cage fighter. I want to be a comedian or whatever it is. Yeah. I don't know that. I still don't know.
I hate those people.
I know I don't.
What people?
That know what they want to do?
Yeah.
Well, half of it too, knowing all these different career paths and all that, looking at how it is and actually doing are two different things, Yeah. The excitement of being a cage fighter, but actually going and do it and putting in the camps and all the working out is like, no, or comedians, like all the anxiety they must go through and the booing I heard it just will kill you. So, but like being a good comedian and your mind is like, oh, that'd be really cool to be just funny all the time and be on stage.
Yeah, I know. I know.
But
I think about like video game streamers, Twitch streamers. If you go onto Twitch right now and you look, there's probably 1 million people streaming, and there's 1% of those people that have a significant viewership enough to monetize and make a lot of money. It's crazy to think how many people think in their head, oh, I can do this. Oh, this is what I want to do. But they don't make it. It's like, It's like Hollywood. It's like everyone wants to be an actor, but no one can be an actor. It's like you have to be this super lucky.
This waitress for 20 years that is there for that reason.
Yeah. And I watched a video that kind of opened my eyes a little bit, but it was talking about how in a lot of cases, being good at something is not how you succeed. It's being lucky. And it's good for us to realize as humans how lucky we are sometimes. Like the examples it gave is that you have all these qualified people who want to be astronauts, but only 2 people can be astronauts. And so you have to decide. A lot of the cases, it's luck that you get to decide. Like you know someone at NASA, and they're like, "Oh, I can vouch for that guy," Or another example we gave was that like all the professional hockey players in the U.S. were born between like a large percentage, like 60% of them were born between December and January, because youth hockey season is.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, it is in that time of the year, and they're older than everyone else in that time of the year, so they're more developed. So the coach gives them more time to become better hockey players, and so they naturally become more professional because the guy who's a year younger doesn't get as much treatment because he's not as developed, and so he just drops the hobby. Isn't that crazy to think about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, you probably told me that a while back or something.
Yeah.
I like to think of, there's like a definition, I'm probably going to butcher it, but a definition for luck being where preparation and opportunity meet.
Yeah.
So like when people are successful, it's not all just luck. It's also like, you prepare for it. I like, that makes it processes in my brain a little better when I think of it that way.
You can't discount the fact that hard work is a big piece of it. But you can't tell me that someone who worked just as hard as Jeff Bezos can become Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos got lucky. At some point it turned for him.
Yeah.
Same thing for Bill Gates. And he capitalized. He was prepared. He worked his ass off. And when that lucky break hit, he capitalized and jumped on it. And now he's at where he's at. And the snowball fell. Yep. But we all have to recognize as humans that at some point we got lucky somewhere. We aren't just the product of hard work. You know?
No, agreed.
Like working for the company I work at, my dad knew a lot of people there. And so I knew I got help from the people that my dad knew to get an interview. Like that's not hard work. That's being born. That's being lucky. I was born into where I'm at, and so I got lucky. I capitalize on it, and I appreciate the opportunity, but I was lucky.
Yeah,
it is timing, because at our job too, it's like you're right there when someone's about to retire, whereas there's some people that waited 10, 12 years for that, for the planets to align,
to get that job.
But if you're there at the right moment,
that's not just that down too. That's going on everywhere. That's another crazy thing. We're in the age group to where we're going to be, people our age are going to be taking over companies or stepping into leadership positions of companies. It's kind of freaky to think about that, us could be running the company we're working at or another company.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think, at what point do you decide as you're getting older that you're old? Like
that's scary.
That right there is a good point. Like at some point you decide, wow, my coworker is now the leader of this facility. Like he's my age. Like, what does that mean? or like you have someone that just came in and they're brand new and you're like, wow, that person is really dumb. They don't know anything.
Right.
And it's like, but I have to teach them. I'm that guy now that has to teach them how to do the job. And that's, for me, I haven't gotten there yet, but at some point I could see that. Like where you think about, we're running the company now, we're getting older. It's like, that's crazy.
Yep.
Like you think how you age, like how do you feel internally? Like you still want to play basketball, you still want to do this, you still want to run.
I'm feeling it, man.
Yeah.
But socially, I knew I was getting older when younger people would call me sir. As soon as that happened, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And then it always happens now, and it's a wake up call.
Or like when you first have kids and you're just like, damn. I mean, I haven't had that experience, but like you've had to pivot hard when that happened to you, I bet.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's because you have to think about other stuff. That's probably the biggest change is like, it's not just me. I can't just do stuff that I want to do.
Yeah.
I have to.
Can't be selfish anymore.
Yeah, I have to do my stuff around their schedule.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Like with school, with running, or whatever it is, it's got to be around their schedule.
I think you think about changes in our lives and doing things differently and adding stuff to our plates or becoming better people. Having kids is a way you become a better person. Not everyone has kids. I'm not saying that like everyone should or shouldn't have kids, but that's a huge thing that changes who you are. And it's different. That's a different situation than going to run a marathon. Like that's thrust upon you sometimes. And you're just like, how you respond to that is crazy.
Yeah.
Those are two different learnings.
Yeah.
I think about, when you have a kid, it's a lot about patience, and then you see development of a human and what stages, and you can see that in people, that like that maybe they're stuck on a development stage that you see your child going through, but then you can deal with people better, because you know what it takes.
I think about that sometimes, like how would that make me if I was going to lead an organization, would having a kid make me a better leader? Like,
I feel like it would.
What about you? Have the experience?
I don't. No, it's totally different because you genuinely, wholeheartedly care about this person's well-being and everything.
Yeah.
Organization, that's an organization. That's what that is.
Yeah.
It's just is different. I think it might prepare for like, it depends what kind of people you're leading. If you're at Target dealing with high school kids, probably. But if you're, where we're at, we're dealing with adults. You know what I mean?
Who can act like kids.
For the most part.
But
right?
some of the discipline stuff is stuff you use with your child. Yeah. And some of it's necessary to do that. So because it's more strategic and less, rough. You're not, you're asking questions more rather than, saying you did this or did that. I think that's a good point. I think it has to. I think you have to look back when you had your first child.
You probably.
What do you think? How different are you from when you had Tyler, you think? I think that's when your development changed.
Yeah, it's probably a lot different. Like stop drinking, stop doing all that. I mean,
stop growing.
Yeah, stop growing. Got shorter. Got the gray hair.
Oh my
God. That's probably a lot different.
Yeah, and I think about because my fiance is one of her grandparents just passed, and like I think about sometimes whenever you go to these people's funerals and you see the world they're living in. Do you think at some point? I think personally, I'm never going to be like this, but you know how you know how your parents are just like, I don't know how to use technology, or like what's going to be the thing when we get older that we didn't grow up in. Like we were enveloped in technology. We had phones, we had computers.
We talk about this a lot.
We're getting that though. Yeah. Pull up Power BI. Yeah. Look how stupid I look. Yeah. I'm like, but it's something we can learn in our generation. But is it going to be such a curve where we can't figure it out?
I don't know. That's the craziest thing. Is like if you were born in the 50s before computers existed in mass market, like do you think they ever thought that there'd be something in your hand that could call, video call, browse? What was the internet? Like, what is that? Like that's the craziest thing to think about.
Even when we were kids, though, like the thought of being able to FaceTime somebody when I was in middle school, that didn't seem real. That seemed like
hocus pocus.
Yeah.
Witchcraft.
Yeah. I'd like to think that if you're the type of person that invest yourself in technology and learning it, then you're not going to get left behind. But the problem is there's so much, even with like learning, we talk about Power BI because we're messing a lot with Power BI lately. There's so much, like you learn Power BI, coding language. Yeah. But then there's like, if you want to code something else, there's HTML or there's Python. Like what's the new fad?
I know.
That's the troubles. Like there's always something new coming up, and how to stay ahead of the forefront. That's what's tough.
That you think about like how things have changed over time, right? Like I also am interested in just videos about old vehicles, and like, in the 1800s they had steam, and steam was like the hotness, and like everyone was all about steam. And then 1900s you had electricity. Well, 1800s you had electricity, and then steam, and then you had motor cars, and then you had gasoline engines. How many people built their careers on an engine, and now we're just like electric vehicles.
Put a battery in it.
Yeah, it's like anyone who wants to drive a V8 engine is old and decrepit now. Like, and the people who are developing that, like someone who spent their life working on making a better gasoline engine, only to be told
it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Same thing with computers. It's like with the technological revolution, it's like we had this way of doing things, but ours is now instantly better than yours in every way. So you need to pivot, or you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
What's going to be
learn a code?
Yeah. Like, is that going to be our life? Like we get to be 70 years old, and all of a sudden, like we have biokinetics where they have robot arms now, and like they make people live hundreds of years longer. That's going to blow our minds. Yeah. We're going to be like, what? That's insane.
That's going to be a real moral decision there too.
Yeah.
We're going to get in some weird times.
Well, I mean, like that's an example, right? But like, what's that mind-blowing thing that's going to happen in our lifetimes?
The link, what is it called?
Oh, Neuralink.
Neuralink.
That's going to be, if that works, which it sounds like it's going to.
Yeah.
That's going to revolutionize a lot of things. And it's almost just like, you remember, so it's not very long ago, but you go to be an engineer, or let's say a programmer. Yeah. You go to be a programmer to learn and memorize all this stuff but now we have an abundance of information that is at the fingertips of everybody. So it's more about learning something quickly and applying it than remembering all the information. Yeah. So we're in a different realm now where everybody has all the information.
I think the biggest thing I learned graduating from college is that.
Was it puke?
No, but.
No, like what is your thing you said? Learn and puke or whatever?
Chug and puke.
Yeah, the information.
Well, I mean, that's how you get through college. But unless you're going to be like on the cutting edge, if you're just going into industry, you go to college to learn how to learn. Like you develop that style of learning something, because I can't tell you how I've used anything I learned in college.
Yes, thank
industry.
You. Like I talk about that. I'm talking about that with Mike a lot lately, because I'm this close to just saying fuck it. Like, like I'm taking chemistry too. I'm not gonna learn chemistry. Like I'm not gonna use that in my everyday life.
Yeah.
hearing you say that pisses me off even more that I'm still staying in here.
But it makes you happy because that's what you're going through. Just a couple semesters ago, I learned C++.
Yeah.
And I really tried, and I got a good grade, and I really understood it. I don't know anything about C++ now. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I remember I had a summer job in college, and it was at a machine shop. And machine shops used like these automated CNC machines use G code is what it's called. I never heard of that before, but over the course of that summer, I got pretty damn good at G code. And if you ask me now, go type some G code, I'd be like, no, never again.
I think to Mike's point, everything is available at our disposal of a Google, like back to Power BI. We're learning Power BI through Google or through a YouTube video. Yeah. And I think that is a better way of learning than going to school and forcing a subject that we don't care about. You know what I mean?
How many times have I told one of you we were working together, did you Google that?
Yeah.
Did you like, how do you do that? Did you Google it?
Yeah.
You know?
That's the new thing. I mean, because we're even DAX with Power BI, we can look up what we want and we see the code, but then we're like, how do we apply it?
Yeah.
Like, where do you put it in? So it's more or less learning how to apply it, and then you can just go in forums and things because everybody's trying to do the same thing to an extent, unless you're revolutionizing things.
To me, that information sticks longer. You know, going to search for something that I can apply right away rather than trying to remember some information for a test that I'm going to take this week.
Now, so your degree's in industrial engineering. So if you became a PhD industrial engineer, you might use that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if you were going to become a PhD computer scientist where you're cutting edge developing the next computer chips or the next Python, you might use the stuff you learned in college. But that kind of pisses me off a little bit because you're in a job and you show capability, but you don't have the right degree. Yeah. And it's like, you're garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not qualified for the role.
Yeah, like you're not in the fraternity.
It's not. That's not just our place though. Yeah. I think that's everywhere. But I think there's other corporations that are changing that mindset, right?
Yeah, I want to think that, but that's hard to change because people who work in corporations their entire life and they're the leaders of the corporation. Like maybe when we're the leaders of the corporation, like whenever everyone else retires, we're gonna change that. But in our lifetime, maybe not, like it change is slow. Like we want to say that, all these corporations, they change all the time.
Right.
No, corporations figure out how to make money and you don't, unless you're just really royally screwing up, you're going to keep doing what you're doing to make more money, but I don't know, man.
Isn't that crazy? You don't go to a restaurant and somewhere in Houston and be like, did you go to culinary school? Because I don't want you to cook this.
Yeah. Like, did you learn that you have to go wash your hands after you go to the restroom? Because I don't want you cooking something if you're not washing. Like,
just thinking, like saying that out loud. Yeah. Like, I know Billy Bob is qualified for this job.
Yeah.
I know he can do it. He's demonstrated that he can do it, but he doesn't have a degree, so he can't apply for this job.
Isn't that crazy?
That's beyond insane to me.
It's what causes corporations to go stagnant.
Yeah, so you're going to put some other person in there that has a degree that can't perform.
No.
And then you're going to make a person that doesn't have a degree to train it.
They have a degree, though. Dude.
Well, think about if you're a corporate guy up in the top of a building and saying, how do I want this organization ran? Well, they're on a whiteboard. Hey, this leader needs to be an engineer himself. The staff all need to be engineers, and then the operators need like a associate's degree. Yeah. Just some competence, and that's how we're going to run it. So come audit time, if something messes up, it comes back to, who is the ops leader or leader that was running it. They're like, okay, well, are they properly educated? No. All right. Yeah. Well, this is how we need to change this so this doesn't happen again. I feel like it's more like an auditing type thing where it's like, checks and balances and this is why we need to have this.
I'm very confident that every rule in every corporation is based on some kind of a learning or RCI that happened and they were like, never again.
Right. Every rule is written in blood, right?
Yeah.
That's the old adage.
What do you get? The ops leader didn't know thermodynamics? Well, let's put someone who knows it and then we won't have this problem again.
Exactly. And I lost my train of thought, but that is absolutely it's like the same. Oh, there we go. So working from home, working from home, it's the same thing. Everyone's just like, nope, everyone has to be in the office. I don't care. You have to be in the office. Yeah. I want to see you every day. Then all of a sudden a pandemic hits where everyone's forced to work at home and they're like, huh.
Yeah, we could do it.
It's like,
open.
Huh. Productivity went up 5%. Oh,
we don't have to. We can get rid of these buildings that we're renting.
Oh, we could save money. That's the craziest thing is that until some people are forced to change, they don't. And that kind of makes corporate America suck to work for sometimes.
Agreed. Well, buddy, it was fun. I love it. We did the knee thing, by the way.
Oh, you did knee thing? All right. I'm getting neat out of here. See y'all
it was fun. It was fun. Yeah. We've been wanting to have you on for a while.
Yeah, it was good.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too.
Bye.